Welcome to episode 188 of the Half Point Per Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Riggs, joined as always by my co-host, Dalton Willie. Dalton, we have a fun one today. We're talking trade deadline, handed out some trades for some folks. We've had some good calls just on buy lows or sell highs, I think, throughout the year. I mean, Travion Henderson was a great one by you a couple weeks ago when it really felt like the ultimate like goofy I'll do it again meme, and this time it actually worked. But boy, there were a lot of injuries over the weekend. I'll get to that in a minute. But how are you doing on this fine Wednesday evening?
I'm doing good. The scam that is every running back in Tampa Bay, except for Sean Tucker, is yet again being exposed by the fake news media. My man, Sean Tucker, finally got his carries, and then they immediately go to that joke of a head coach they have and say, "Hey, after today's game, what do you think?" And he said, "We'll see. It's really hard to figure out right now." So yet again, we have the Illuminati propping up Bucky Irving and Rachaad White propaganda. But yet again, Sean Tucker shines through as the real hero that we all wanted.
Well, everyone who actually tries to run on the Bills can, so that's probably something to keep in mind going forward. That's also the only thing I will say about the Chiefs today.
Is it?
Yes. I wanted to put Rashee Rice on this list. I was like, you know what? No, I just only want to talk about the Chiefs in any capacity, so I'm not doing it.
Well, my first sell high is actually the Chiefs dynasty.
Oh, okay. I think you missed the sell high window. This would be the buy low window of the Chiefs dynasty. As I mentioned, Dalton, there were just an outrageous number of injuries, and I just wanted to read through the Fantasy Pros news feed from the last couple of days, just to give people a real feel, because people, if they didn't watch every game, like they maybe saw a couple of their guys got hurt, whatever. Let's start. Michael Penix, news of the day earlier today. Tore his ACL, out at least 9 months. His best receiver, Drake London, out at least this week with, I believe, a PCL injury. We shall see how much you can trust Drake London with Captain Kirk slinging it back there. Dalton Kincaid, out this Thursday yet again. Khalil Shakir has been away for personal reasons. I saw on Twitter it may be it just had a child, so hopefully he's back. Then at least we have one Buffalo receiver we can kind of sort of trust, as Josh Allen scores 5 touchdowns again this week. Jamar Chase suspended for 1 week for spitting on Jalen Ramsey and lying about it, and then clear video evidence of it actually happening. On the bright side, Bengals fans, Joe Burrow, full practice today. That kind of came out of nowhere. That he was doing 7-on-7 stuff previously. It was like, oh, full practice. I don't know what that means at this point in the season. Like, how intense is a full practice? How close is he to actually playing? But at least a positive for everybody waiting for Joe Burrow to come back. Calvin Ridley broke his leg, headed to the IR, out for the season. I mean, I just don't even know what to say at this point about Calvin Ridley. Feel bad for the guy. Jaylen Warren hurt his ankle. I don't know if you saw the play. He really got rolled up on by his own body with the way he got taken down. Glad he seems to be okay. They say they're optimistic about him playing this week. We shall see. Aaron Rodgers has a slight break of his left wrist. Does not need surgery. I don't know his status this week, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Mason Rudolph.
Well, just on that one, it's actually not that he doesn't need surgery. It's that he doesn't believe in surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's anti-surgery and vaxxed.
He's had some serious, like, broke his collarbone. He had to have had surgery when he broke his collarbone.
No, just Perk Rogers.
Yeah, I aim to see a picture of his shoulder. He might have like just 3 bones sticking straight up out of one of his.
You take enough ayahuasca and the spirits heal you.
Speaking of Green Bay, Jaden Reed could return to practice, was the report earlier today. Turns out, not really the case. Don't know when that window is being opened. He was actually going to be on my trade list, and it was like, okay, we just don't know enough about when he's going to be back yet. So we'll just wait. It would be sure nice for the Packers to get another playmaker back because, of course, Josh Jacobs hurt his knee against the Giants. He, it seems, probably will not play in week 12. Marshawn Lloyd, if we care about that, his practice window's open. Could he be the guy, or is this Emmanuel Wilson's show? We shall see. That would just be like the ultimate FU to everybody if Marshawn Lloyd comes back and is getting like half the snaps and neither of these guys are useful. Davis Mills starting yet another week at quarterback as CJ Stroud works his way back from the concussion. It kind of seems like if this was a Sunday game, he'd probably play, but it's Thursday night, so just not enough time on the short week to get back.
Davis Mills, the QB2.
Yeah,
the last 2 weeks of fantasy football.
Yeah. Oh, that is disgusting. The bad news keeps rolling in for Brandon Ayuk. Excuse me. He will not have this practice window open. Dalton, reminder, it's been over a year since he tore his ACL. I'm going to assume there was some other damage in that knee as well. Not feeling super stoked about how all this has gone down, but I hope he's healthy when he does come back.
That's why you don't pay players. He got paid, never coming back.
Yep, unfortunately. Unclear if Bryce Young will play in week 12 after hurting his ankle very early, and it looked like he was in a lot of pain, looked serious. Comes back, just throws like a cool 450, leads his team to a come-from-behind victory, maybe his best performance as a pro, and he might not play. Those Tedderod McMillan great vibes may be dashed, at least for this week, if Bryce Young isn't out there. Not that he's great, but I like that floor better than Andy Dalton at this point. Bucky Irving was spotted at practice. Feels like we just saw Bigfoot today with that news. He's getting worked in more. So maybe Bucky Irving is back to take Sean Tucker's job this week. We shall see. Marvin Harrison Jr. is out this week. Lane Johnson has a Lisfranc sprain. I guess I knew that was possible, but I only have ever seen that before. It's always like a break. So yeah, out 4 to 6 weeks. That doesn't feel great for an Eagles team. That's very up and down. And then the last thing, just for shits and giggles, Justin Field is benched. Tyrod Taylor is in because why not, Jets? I mean, why not?
I mean, Tyrod Taylor has a future in front of him. Really good quarterback. You didn't even put on here Garrett Wilson's back on IR.
I thought we already knew that, but or was that breaking news today? I thought he was already on IR.
Was it? You know what? Maybe I thought it happened in the game last week.
Well, you might be right. He's just been so out of sight, out of mind for me this whole season that I can't remember if he actually played or not.
I honestly don't remember either at this point.
I know he scored 0 in the lineup of the person in our league who has him, and I just can't remember if it was this week or last week, but it happened somewhat recently. So just all of that to say things are a mess right now. This is what tends to happen in fantasy football. We draft all these guys and we get to the end of the year and it's like, man, you've got to nail some trades. You've got to have some waiver guys help you win your league. And what we're here for today, Dalton, is we're going to try and help you nail those trades to win your league. So I'll let you start us off first with your first trade deadline deal. And it sounds like maybe we did this a little bit differently. You have some trade fours and trade aways. I'm just going straight trade fours. But either way, we'll go back and forth on this. So give me your first one here.
Yeah. So I did each position group on a trade for, a trade away. I'm taking the buy low, which is an opportunity that you wouldn't normally see with a player who's scored what he has recently, but trade for Marvin Harrison Jr. He's been out the last 2 weeks. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and it's appendicitis, so not like a football injury that you expect to nag.
It won't affect his play once he comes back. He can't play while he has stitches in, which is really the reason they're not letting him play. With Jacoby Brissett, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been a top 15 wide receiver in every start. The Cardinals offense under Jacoby Brissett is somehow 8th in the NFL in pass rate above expectation. With Kyler Murray, it was 24th in the NFL. Their offensive pass success rate is 6th in the NFL. With Kyler Murray, it was 29th in the NFL.
I have a stat for you. I saw this, credit to the fantasy footballers. I saw this going around on Twitter today. You know, there's only 2 quarterbacks this year that have 5 I can't remember if it's 5 top 12 finishes, I think, or 5 consecutive top 12 finishes. It is Patrick Mahomes and Jacoby Brissett.
All that's to say is that Jacoby Brissett has elevated Marvin Harrison Jr. I can't imagine saying this line legitimately in the offseason ever. Jacoby Brissett has elevated Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
to a point where he's a weekly startable wide receiver 2 option. Under the first half of the season, he only had 2 double-digit games with Jacoby Brissett. He has 4. Looking ahead, the Cardinals' schedule softens up. They play the 26th pass defense schedule the rest of season. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been inked in for at least 8 targets under Jacoby Brissett on average. Their passing touchdown rate is up 8% under Jacoby Brissett. All of this is to say, like, because he's been out 2 weeks, that team might be struggling. And because Marvin Harrison Jr. season long hasn't been the greatest player, it's a really prime opportunity to do it. You saw what the offense looks like without him. Honestly, Michael Wilson looked really good. I'm not going to take anything.
That's what I was going to say. That would be honestly my one concern is like, do we finally get some consistent Michael Wilson volume? Because I do think he's a good player. There's just never been enough volume to go around in that passing game.
Well, my hope here is this means Marvin Harrison Jr. finally gets to move around.
Yeah.
Michael Wilson last week, it's against the Cowboys. Very important thing to say. Or it wasn't against the Cowboys. Last week they played don't have it in front of me. But Marvin Harrison Jr. or Michael Wilson played 72% at the X receiver in last week's game. So all in all, it's looking like they trust him out there. He did a very good job, 18 targets, 150 plus yards. There's just
they played the 49ers, by the way.
Oh, the 49ers. Actually impressive he did that. Impressive Jacoby Brissett did what he did as well.
Yeah, they're like 420 yards.
They
were losing by a lot, so they were throwing a lot.
So the Cardinals offense just looks ready to go, and you can buy low on a player in a really good offense who's played really good in that offense with the QB change because of this injury. And it's an injury that's not going to impact Marvin Harrison Jr.'s on the field play. It's not an ankle injury. It's nothing that's going to nag him. Once it's done, it's done.
Yep. No, I agree with that. And I thought about Trey McBride, not even like obviously not as a buy low, just as a guy that I'm willing to pay for. And I just kind of decided he's probably a little bit too expensive that even with how great he's been, I think you could probably do better things with that level of asset. But McBride was in my mind kind of for that same reason. Real quick from the Citizen in the chat. Got offered Javonte Williams and Jalen Waddle for Puka and RJ Harvey. I have no RBs. Like, it's bad. Harvey is my best. My other receivers are CD Lamb and Tet. This is PPR.
I still am not doing that. RJ Harvey in his debut played against one of the best run defenses in the NFL in the Kansas City Chiefs. And that definitely hurt him. His snap share was still pretty high on the team. I think he finished out at 68%. Puka is in a world of his own when he's playing. And I'll talk more about the Rams when we talk about quarterbacks, but it's
we will indeed do that.
And it's not that I don't like Javonte, but he is starting to come a little bit more back down to earth with this Dallas Cowboys run game. And Jalen Waddle, I'll just spoil this, is a trade away candidate for me. So I would not be actively seeking him out.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually thought about Waddle as a trade for. I don't hate trading for Waddle. Since Tyreek Hill has gone down, he's been in that number one role that gets the layup targets that he just hasn't been in since Tyreek Hill has been there. So I think he'll be fine. I would still rather have the Puka Harvey side. My only concern with that is I think it was Matt Harmon. You know, Puka's only played in 1 snap and 13 personnel in like the last month, which is a little weird and kind of lowers his ceiling a little bit if that does keep happening. But I don't think Javonte is such an upgrade over Harvey. I would rather just kind of wait and see what Harvey does against a lighter schedule going forward. Like you said, I would almost look to maybe trade, maybe not see, maybe like Tedera McMillan. Like, what running back can you just get in a 1-for-1 with Ted, who's coming off of a very nice game? Okay, go ahead and give us your you did your buy low. Give us your sell high at the position too.
It is Jalen Waddle.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, just overall, Jalen Waddle and the Dolphins offense is nothing I want to be a part of. It's not really an indictment of Jalen Waddle. I didn't put Devon Achane on this list at all. Just putting that out there. But this is like the most stat padding team of stat padding teams. The Dolphins, in games they have not won, which is 7, have thrown the ball at a 90% rate when down by more than 10 points. Of those passes, 61% have gone to Jalen Waddle. Those are all good things. I just don't believe this Dolphins offense is going. This is one of the short ones.
As a Jameis Winston guy, I would think you'd have more respect for the garbage time, just throwing the ball down the field.
There is no way you're attacking Jameis right now. There's no way we went there.
You still owe me money for Jameis not winning MVP.
Still could happen.
No, but no, I can see your point. I just think that Waddle is locked into doing the layup stuff in this offense finally, to where I think he'll be fine the rest of the season. But I can't blame anybody who just does not really want a piece of this offense going forward. So I can see both sides there.
And you should trade him for Nico Collins. That is my trade for.
Yeah, if you can pull that off, absolutely. I'm not sure you could probably pull it off in a 1-for-1, but even if you have to add a little bit, I would certainly be willing to do that. Obviously, we talked about Nico quite a bit last week. Okay, my first. I'm trying to decide the order I want to do this. I'll save the biggest names. I have a lot of pretty big names this week. My first one, this is a combo, 2 guys here, but really just going to talk about Zay Flowers in this. But like, if you can buy Lamar Jackson low off of last week where Myles Garrett just wrecked the game, I would do that, because I always like having an elite quarterback. I don't like drafting those guys, but I like having them on my team in the playoffs. Just trade for him later in the season. On Zay Flowers, we talked about this multiple times this year, and it's not that he's been playing horrible lately. He hasn't. He just hasn't scored the touchdowns lately. Otherwise, he's been playing well. You look forward, his schedule this week, he gets the Jets. They get the Bengals twice. They get the Steelers, who have a bad secondary. And then the Packers, not an ideal matchup, but as a passing matchup with Lamar, probably like a net neutral, I would say. His targets per route run, like I've said before, is a career best, even with Lamar missing time this season. Right now, he's at a career high 70 yards per game, on pace for about 90 catches for 1,200 yards. Like I said, the issue this year, he has 1 touchdown. And he's never been a huge touchdown guy. 4 last year, 5 his rookie year. But I would expect he's going to score a couple touchdowns down the stretch and end up with at least 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, somewhere in that range. And if he does that with, getting a handful of catches and 70 yards a game, I just think he's going to be a top 15 or 20 receiver. I think you can probably still buy him for less, because this offense as a whole didn't do a ton last week, and he had a perfectly fine game, but it was like 10 points. It wasn't anything crazy. So I think with the price and just still the quality of the player, he's playing with a great quarterback. I just think that's a recipe for better things than what we've seen from Zay Flowers so far down the stretch here. I'm going to keep saying it, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. He's been pretty consistent floor, taking out the weeks where Lamar wasn't playing. Do some trades here. Would you rather have Wan'Dale Robinson or Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers in a heartbeat.
Okay, Wan'Dale Robinson has more points than Zay Flowers.
Yeah, congrats to him.
Troy Franklin or Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers. And Troy Franklin is like the ultimate, like in that Waddle trade for Nico. It's like, hey, if I just throw in Troy Franklin and give you another receiver, he's like the ultimate throw in. Not that I think he's bad, but just like, I'd never really want to start Troy Franklin, so I may as well cash him in, is kind of how I feel about him.
Yeah, and if someone sent me that trade, I'd pull the Eric Cartman. If you're gonna blank me, please take me out to dinner first. Keenan Allen or Zay Flowers?
Zay Flowers.
Deebo Samuel.
Zay Flower. I think Debo is another guy who I would be thrilled to sell high. I just like I don't want any part of that team, frankly, the rest of the season. And I don't like has Debo looked like Debo to you this year?
No, but he's a wide receiver 17, which
I
is
know, and
surprising.
like he's getting these red zone touches and like these runs and stuff, which he's gonna get. I just don't really want to count on that continuing. I don't think.
All right, last one, Michael Pittman Jr., the wide receiver 11.
You mean Michael Pittman Jr., who is currently being overtaken by Alec Pierce as the wide receiver 1 in his own offense?
You heard it here first, folks.
I think that's a thing that a lot of people are saying. I would take Zay Flowers over Pittman, and I think if you're making that deal, you could get Pittman plus something, or no, yeah, you could get Pittman. You could get Zay plus something for just Pittman. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Okay, one question here, real quick, and then we'll move on. In the chat, start. Boy, this must be a deep league. Mac Hollins, Yoshivaz, or Dortch this week. I think it's got to be Yoshivaz, right? Like if Jamar Chase isn't playing, which he's not, like this is probably a decent spot. Unless my guy Jermaine Burton finally scores some points.
I actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, think the answer is Mac Hollins.
It's not crazy. Mac Hollins is not crazy, but I prefer Yoshivaz.
Yeah, for me, it's Mac Hollins plays Cincinnati. It's a bad pass defense. Last 2 weeks, he has 10 and 5 targets. He's been the wide receiver 21 and 28. But man, that's not a fun situation. You're kind of damned with no matter who you do because it's really a dart throw on which one's going to get in the end zone.
But yeah, what I would say is that I would pretty clearly have either of those two ahead of Dortch.
Yes.
We've seen this song and dance with Dortch when he gets these opportunities. Like he'll have games where he's 2 for 20, or he'll go 5 for 48, and he might score a touchdown. It's just, like,
and I'm recovering Dortch, bro.
Yeah. Like I like Dortch, but it's just we've seen this for multiple years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, next up for you, Dalton. You can give us your next two.
All right. Going into the running back category here, I have trade for Alvin Kamara.
That is shocking to me, but I agree with it. But it's shocking that you're the one bringing that to the table.
And I was shocked because I went in this with a clear head, steady mind, and I was like, I'm just going to do some research at running back and see who's out there and who I get a good feeling about. And somehow it's Alvin Kamara. So just digging into the stats, Alvin Kamara is still top 15 in 6 categories that lead themselves to fantasy value: offensive rush rate, targets per game, yards per route run, rush success rate, and end zone touch rate. Like Alvin Kamara is getting top 15 touches in all of the important areas and just hasn't had a game. Part of that is the team sucks,
and he just doesn't score touchdowns.
Yes, but his expected current fantasy position would be running back 21. He is the running back 33.
Yeah.
In that, he has a 1.2 game where he didn't end up playing the majority of the game because of a blowout. He is coming off the bye week. I'm not going to say Alvin Kamara is entering his swan song, but the Saints have no reason not to use him as much as they want to in the final stretch of this. Devin Neal hasn't looked great. Kendre Miller, I believe, is injured.
Whoa.
So you can get him for like pennies on the dollar for a player who's doing top 15 production or statistic profiles. I'm not saying he's going to blow it out of the water, but with the giant list of injuries Evan just read off, you're likely in need of flex options. And Alvin Kamara is a guy coming off bye. That team probably doesn't want to start him. And you can just chuck on over. I would trade Troy Franklin straight up for him. That's one I would do pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah, easily.
A Rondell Robinson.
Yeah, I just think with running back scarcity, you might have to add something, like a little something to that, and do a 2 for 1. But yeah, I think that's probably the neighborhood. And the AK owner may just be so fed up that maybe you can just get that deal done straight up. I mean, I talked about Alvin Kamara a couple of weeks ago as a buy low. Still rings pretty true today, unfortunately, but he's also had a decent game or two since then. The question I would ask too, what happens if Shuck is actually decent down the stretch? Because he did not look bad. I'm not saying he's going to be good, but what if he's just like decent and this offense is decent down the stretch? What's that look like, for Olave, who is probably going to get peppered with targets, and Juwan Johnson and Kamara? It's all of a sudden a situation where it's like, I've got three guys who I want to start on this team because it's very clear who's getting the ball, except when Taysom Hill scores 1-yard touchdowns. And those are three good players.
Yeah. They might commit you to an asylum for that Chuck comment, but
he didn't look bad. And he was throwing the ball down the field. Like, he was giving Olave chances down the field that he really was not getting all season, which I was surprised by that because I was expecting the exact opposite.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfectly viable and an outcome you should consider in the crazy land.
You can say it without laughing. It's more believable.
I mean, I think it is possible. I just don't think it's very possible. That's what I'll say. But even like subpar quarterback play, Alvin Kamara's had that and played really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just don't be a tire fire, and Kamara can produce for sure.
My trade away, this was a pretty quick one because there's not a lot of like underground analysis on this one. It's really part vibe, part like what could happen. It's Rico Dowdle. Look.
Okay. Yeah, I thought about him.
I'm here for like the Rico Dowdle trade. He's playing really well. It's exciting. It is a tenuous relationship with him keeping that starting job. Hubbard hasn't been great, but last year he was very great. And that says a lot about what he can be capable of doing. There's no age cliff he's hitting. Probably played a little injured for a while and probably just didn't hit lucky on some of the runs he needed to. In addition to that, if you just read Canalo's press conference notes from Coach Speak the last 3 weeks, it's a pretty tenuous relationship with who is the starter, pretty close hot hand approach, and Rico Dowdle is just running hot. This is a player who last year in the second half of fantasy football ended up scoring less points despite having the same amount of touches. And the reason for that is he's not a big guy. He's not a big boy. Big boys wear down a little bit, and they are relying on him heavily. He has the third highest touch rate of any running back when he's playing on the field. And with all of that and a team that, I mean, might have playoff hopes, which wild.
Yeah, but they're in first or tied for first in the division. Is that right?
Yeah, they're certainly in the wild card hunt too. So they're going to switch back and forth between whoever one of these is doing best. And you can sell him at a top 10 running back value off some really, really good games. And some just guys, I mean, like one, if the Josh Jacobs owner is not feeling great and you're already in a good spot, Rico Dowdle for Josh Jacobs would be a no-brainer.
So I'm looking at Fantasy Pros rest of season right now. It has Jacobs 11, Dowdle 12, so it right next to each other.
Right under it, I don't want to spoil anything. Saquon Barkley. I mean, Dowdle scored 14 more points than Saquon Barkley and not been on a bye yet, which is
and I mean, like, straight up, that might be a hard sell, but I'm willing to add a wide receiver 3 and do that deal, or even like, James Cook, if you want to climb a little bit further up and do a 2-for-1 there. I think you could probably get something like that accomplished. And even if you think Dowdle is going to start the rest of the season, which I think there's a good chance he is, if he keeps playing this way, even if you're not worried about Chuba. I talked about he is like through last week, the games he started, just playing at a historic pace, rushing the ball, and he can still keep being good, but that just simply was not going to continue. And clearly, RB12, that rank doesn't think it'll continue, but I still think he's probably going to finish a little bit lower than RB12. The rankings have not been updated, I don't think, since the Bucky Irving news. Who knows if he's going to play? Wait to see if Bucky Irving's going to play before you trade for him, for the love of God. But if you can get Bucky for Rico Dowdle straight up, and Bucky's playing, which he's the RB18 on here right now, I suspect he'd move up. But I think even if we knew Bucky was playing this weekend, he'd be like the RB9, RB10. That's still a very doable trade.
Well, and even with the news today, and I didn't put him on, but I probably would have done trade 4 if I got the news sooner. If Joe Burrow plays Sunday, and with the usage Chase Brown is getting in RB18 right now, I would do Dowdle for Brown straight up.
Yeah. Same for me as well. Okay, I'll go with probably my most expensive guy to trade for, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. And I know he just had 2 back-to-back good games, 1 good game, 1 really, really good game. Would have been a lot easier to trade for him after his 4.3-point game a couple weeks ago, or after week 6 when he scored 7 points. And I did kind of steer people to saying, "Hey, go trade for him. Like he's gonna be fine." Um, Here's what is interesting with the Gibbs situation right now. This reminds me, I forgot to mention Sam Laporta on IR. Found that out Friday before the games, which is kind of shaking up the Lions' pecking order and offense a little bit. Jameson Williams all of a sudden viable, which he really wasn't until Dan Campbell came, and then now Laporta out. Anyway, Gibbs had a 72% snap rate in week 11. That's his highest ever snap rate in a game that David Montgomery also played. Part of that, obviously, is Montgomery didn't play as many snaps as he sometimes does. He will fluctuate between high 30s as kind of the low water mark and low 50s a couple times a year. Although he's been low 50s a little bit less than last year, but not much. It's still pretty comparable. They played both of those guys on the field more. And specifically, they split Jahmyr Gibbs out wide a lot more. And I think that's just without Laporta kind of taking away a little bit of the punch of this offense. And maybe that was also hey, it's windy and cold, and Jared Goff cannot drive through the ball. So we got to just get our best guys out there. But I kind of think this offense is to a point right now where they're good, but they're not good enough where they can just sit their best player down for entire series multiple times a game like they've done in the past. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Gibbs is the best player on this offense and needs to be out there. And you saw in that game just how deadly he can be as a receiver. Get him in space. He's one of the best players in space in the NFL. You kind of got just a little taste of what could life be like for Gibbs if he got the Devon Achane screen passes five times a game, the wide bubble screens. I mean, he had a 69% routes run rate. He had 8 targets. He had a career high 107 receiving yards. All of that is from Jacob Gibbs on Twitter. I don't think it's going to continue to that degree, but Laporta's on IR. Like I said, this offense is just kind of searching for more juice. The running game with Montgomery hasn't been as successful this year as last year. Hard for me to say is that partially Montgomery. We know about all of the O-line differences from this year to last year. I will just say if you just look at Montgomery's touches through 10 weeks, 2023, he was at 173 touches, a little over 5 yards a touch. 2024, 158 touches, and again, 5.06 yards per touch. This year, down to 125 touches and 4.87 yards per touch. A little bit less effective, a decent bit less volume. So they're leaning a little bit more on Gibbs, a little bit less on Montgomery. And now I think both of them may be on the field a little bit more going forward. I think Gibbs could be set up for a really big finish. I mean, I know he's the number 5 player overall on Fantasy Pros, so you've got to pay up. But I think it's CMC and Jonathan Taylor. Those are the only 2 guys I'd take ahead of him the rest of the season. So I'd be willing to trade like Puka Nacua and some interesting running back, like some interesting handcuff running back for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I'm not going to debate trading for Jahmyr Gibbs at all. There is no counter argument to it.
Yeah. It's just, do you want to pay what it's going to cost?
Yeah, like sometimes people who own Jahmyr Gibbs, especially in dynasty leagues, are a little crazy when you try to trade for him, and they're just not sensible about it, and that always gets on my nerves. But
when I was doing Jahmyr Gibbs research for this podcast, if you look at his first 100 games and Barry Sanders' first 100 games, it is actually crazy. He gets less touches, so he doesn't have quite the yardage total, but he's not that far off. He's only a couple hundred yards short, and he's averaging more yards per touch. Again, not saying he's Barry Sanders, but Gibbs is probably my favorite running back to watch in the league. Does not get impacted by the fact that I do have him in a dynasty league.
Yeah, Evan Riggs just said Jahmyr Gibbs is Barry Sanders. Take that.
Okay, but yeah, I would obviously, you got to pay up. I'm willing to pay basically anybody. Like, I would trade Bijan straight up for Gibbs. I'm a little worried about Bijan and what's going to happen to him in this Atlanta offense. Not that he's going to fall off a cliff, but I don't know if he's going to be the RB3, RB2 or 3. Might be more like RB6 or 7.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jahmyr Gibbs could be the RB3 to end the season, maybe even the RB2, seeing if CMC continues to suck the lifeblood out of his fellow teammates to survive.
Sky Moore getting a kick return to the 1 yard line and Christian McCaffrey getting an immediate touchdown was the funniest thing that happened over the weekend.
I always said Sky Moore was the guy on that offense.
Okay, Dalton, next up for you.
Hitting the tight end category now. So trade for is pretty straightforward. Just so you know, my trade for and trade away have a difference in points scored after by 1.3. And I think it tells such a good story about what you have to be thinking about right now in fantasy football. Trade for is Tyler Warren. Leads his team in targets, leads his team in yardage, leads his team in yards per route run, leads his team in first read target share, has also taken snaps at quarterback, at running back, and at the slot receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Tyler Warren has been a do-it-all player. The reason you can trade for him right now is he is coming off of a 7.3, a 5.1, then he scored 13.9, and he's coming off his bye right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is probably the lowest price point you're going to be able to get him. Among all tight ends, he's second in red zone targets. The only player above him is Trey McBride, who is getting red zone targets this year, unlike last year.
What a world. Wonder what's different.
And tight end historically has been a slow roll position for rookies to learn. Tyler Warren took no time learning it, gets a bye week, gets an additional week of practice. I think there's potentially way more for him to learn and do in this offense. So overall, I think this is your one time this season you'll be able to trade for Tyler Warren with how he started hot out of the gate and continued to be hot. On the trade away front, the player that has scored
real quickly, I just want to say on Tyler Warren, if you look at the Chiefs on the road and you think, man, I don't like, I like, not that you're gonna bench him or anything, but like, do I really want to trade for him before he plays the Chiefs? Got news for you. Play action from a great running back to a tight end in the flats. That has been how the Chiefs defense has looked its worst over the last 2-3 years. I would predict a pretty big Tyler Warren game this weekend.
It is exactly what the Bills did to score 2 of their touchdowns.
Yeah. Okay, your trade away.
Trade away is the guy right under him. Do you want to take a guess on which tight end is the tight end for right now?
Is it Travis Kelce?
No, I wouldn't put Trav on here. Travis Kelce is the tight end 2.
Okay.
Travis Kelce's the tight end 2.
I knew he was high. I couldn't remember if he was first or second in the AFC, but I saw that he was one of the top 2 in the AFC. Anyway, I don't know. Is this like for the season?
Yes.
Man, I just pay no respect to tight end. I don't know.
Well, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't pay respect to this player, which is why you should trade them away. Jake Ferguson.
Oh my God.
Jake Ferguson right now is the tight end 4 in fantasy, including the fact that he had 0 points in week 8.
Yeah.
When CeeDee Lamb was injured, Jake Ferguson was on pace to be the wide receiver 12 in total fantasy points. For anybody,
the wide receiver 12?
Yes.
Wow.
The tight end 1 by a large margin. If you only include weeks, which this is cheating, CeeDee Lamb has played and finished a game for the Dallas Cowboys. Jake Ferguson drops to the tight end 17, right above our boy Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, that's not cheating though. That's very relevant, and it's not like a super small sample. I think he's at 6 games now at this point, 5 or 6 games.
You look at that, and then Jake Ferguson's yards per route run. This is from Fantasy Points and Data and Scott Barrett. This is one of the funniest stats ever. He has the lowest yards per route run of any player to have scored 100 or more fantasy points at this point. If you want to talk about dump off king, it is Jake Ferguson right now. His ADOT is incredibly low. He has games of 15, 17, and 13 targets and somehow converted all of those targets in 2 of those games, getting 13 catches and 11 catches and ending up with 100 yards. That is like, sorry to do this again. Last year, Rondell Robinson bad on what he is doing. And it's just not sustainable, but the points are there. And anybody who's not keeping a close eye on fantasy, he is the tight end for. I would easily do Jake Ferguson plus a teaser for Tyler Warren if someone was willing to hear that. The guy
I think the more likely one you could maybe do is I'm looking. He's tight end 6 rest of season. Tight end 7 is Gadsden from the Chargers going into their bye week off of a dud. Could you do Ferguson and then get Gadsden and something else back?
Yeah, and I think
even straight up I would do, but you could probably get a little something else included.
Yeah, and if that Sam Laporta owner out there is feeling tight, Jake Ferguson looks like a good option, especially because of how bad it gets outside of the top. Outside of tight end. Let's just say outside of the tight end group because they're all bad. The scoring is absurd this year. Juwan Johnson's tight end 8, by the way. Yeah. I would go to that person and I would even turn myself into a tight end streamer and just trade for like a wide receiver 2, a running back 2, like anything you can get for him. I would be selling him because I think the best days are behind him.
Yeah, or like, he's not playing this Thursday, so you'd have to have somebody else you could stream this week, but could you get Kincaid plus something pretty good? I think Kincaid will be a borderline tight end 1 because he's been, if you just look at points per game, he's been a top 8 tight end. He's just been in and out of the lineup, and he's got this hamstring thing he's dealing with. And the Bills throw to their tight ends quite a bit because I don't know if you know, all of their receivers are all the same, and none of them are very good besides Shakir, who's pretty good. Okay. Next up for me, we'll go the thumbnail here. I'll give you Justin Jefferson as a guy to trade for. I've seen some outrageous things said about Justin Jefferson. So I think as we predicted last week, he is probably going to be one of our more talked about guys in the offseason for a lot of different reasons with how this season has gone. I know the other JJ McCarthy. I know he's bad. I know he can't throw. Is it the left or right sideline? I think it's the left. He can't throw up one of the sidelines. Maybe
he's reverse Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, he is. The thing is, I still think Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL. This dude's getting 10 targets and 115 air yards a game. All the usage that you would want is there. Just looking at totals, he's 6th in targets. Jamar Chase is 1st at 117, 20 more than anybody else, which is hilarious. He had to have probably had like 25 targets in the game where he had almost 20 receptions. JSN 2nd, Chris Olave 3rd, Drake London and Amon-Ra St. Brown 4th and 5th. JJ is 5th in air yards this year as well. Again, it's just been a combination of bad quarterback play, offense isn't moving, some bad luck on JJ's part. He did drop 1 or 2 passes that could have been big plays that just not typical of Justin Jefferson. And the thing is, what will help you probably trade for him right now, outside of his owner being frustrated with how the season has gone, the next 2 weeks, Packers and Seahawks, if you've got somebody with Justin Jefferson who really needs to win to get into the playoffs, you can sell that as, hey, you're not going to be happy with him for the next 2 weeks. Here's somebody who can help you out more than he can right now. And here's a little something else even too. You want to hear the last 4 games for the Vikings this season? It is Commanders the week before the playoffs, the Cowboys the first week of the fantasy playoffs, the Giants in the semifinal week, and then the Lions, who I think are a defense that can be had. So he has got an unbelievable schedule. I know the quarterback is probably still going to be bad. The thing is, they're still throwing the ball. They're still letting him throw the ball. Their drop back over expected since McCarthy came back from injury is 4%. So like, they're not just turtling and running the ball. They're seeing what they've got, frankly, and they should. And I just got to think with the matchups and the player that JJ is, Justin Jefferson, he is going to have better days ahead. I mean, talk about Zay Flowers with 1 touchdown. Justin Jefferson has 2 touchdowns this year. I just refuse to believe he's only going to score like 3 or 4 touchdowns this year. Refuse to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I think we both are huge fans of Justin Jefferson and think that some of the hate he's receiving right now, more of it's directed at McCarthy, isn't going to be sustainable season over season or even week to week. Again, like 2 weeks ago, Justin Jefferson had the inside slant that literally would be between his hands. That would have been a touchdown.
Mhm.
He is getting the targets. He has the air yards. It's going to convert for him. Like, it's frustrating for that offense right now, but Justin Jefferson is still one of one in the NFL to have done what he's done.
Yeah, and let me just say, if Justin Jefferson is a third or a fourth round pick, someone's gonna have to take my underdog account from me because I will be drafting 25 Justin Jefferson underdog teams next summer if I can get them at that price.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot, but some of us draft the full 1,000.
Okay, Dalton. If you want to go quarterback, Matthew Stafford is next up on my list, and it sounds like he is on yours as well.
Yeah, so Matthew Stafford is my QB to trade for. Currently, the QB6. First of all, just let me give Matthew Stafford his flowers. Is like one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, bar none. Since week 5, Matthew Stafford has 22 touchdowns. Do you know how many receptions he has?
1?
0.
Oh,
He has 0 interceptions. Every year, this has kind of happened where I've been like, wow, Matthew Stafford is throwing the hell out of the ball. And they get into the red zone and he's not getting touchdowns. So fantasy, he ends up like QB 16.
Yeah. Kyron Williams isn't getting every touchdown inside the 5. Instead, Devontae Adams is getting every touchdown inside the 5.
And that has been the big change for this offense is Devontae Adams he's always been, but threat for this Los Angeles Rams team. Matthew Stafford among quarterbacks is second in total yards, first in touchdown percentage, third in the NFL in touchdown percentage in the red zone. And he has played 4 games without Puka Nacua finishing the game. Despite that, in those 4 games, Puka Nacua did not finish or did not play. Matthew Stafford ranked as the QB 3, 4, 8, and 6 on those weeks. So he's pretty agnostic. If Puka Nacua can get fully healthy and play for them, we talked about this with even the 13 personnel. There's a level to this offense we haven't even got to. And because Matthew Stafford has the pocket passer tag on him, people don't think he's able to have those blow-up games, even if he's having them right now.
Yeah, he's had more than 25 points 5 times this year.
Yes. There's just so much to love about what he's doing with the Los Angeles Rams this year. They finished out their season with the 4th worst pass-rated defense, and he is going to absolutely eat for the Los Angeles Rams and for fantasy lineups. And could I say, might be the league winner at quarterback.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I always like having a quarterback like that. Obviously, it's great to have a guy that can score you 25 points in any fantasy matchup at quarterback, because that's probably not going to win you your week, but it gives you a leg up for sure. And more importantly, I think he's only had 1 single-digit game this year, and it was like 9 point something. It was almost 10. If you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert did last week, go out there and score 4. You can have Jahmyr Gibbs, you can have Jonathan Taylor, you can have JS, you can have like 2 of those 3 guys, and you're going to need them to blow up to save you from that performance. So it is really valuable to have a quarterback that you trust. And Stafford has been one of, if not the most dependable quarterbacks just on a week-to-week basis this year. And yeah, you said the schedule, the only game that really scares you is the Seahawks. In week 16 on the road. Otherwise, going forward, it's Tampa Bay, it's Carolina, it's Arizona, Detroit. I said Seattle already, and Atlanta in championship week, who Bryce Young just threw for 450 yards against.
Yep. It's just a great end of season schedule for him. And by trade away, you actually mentioned him. I'm sorry. I love him, but you have to trade Justin Herbert right now.
Tough time to be doing it.
It seriously is, but he will
bye week and coming off of a 4.3 point game.
He will be objectively terrible for you until Joel returns to the lineup. Do you know what the player playing left tackle is for the Chargers right now?
I don't know what he is. I assume he's a human.
Yeah, I would question that with his stats. Might just be a pile of trash. This guy was filling in as the left guard for the Chargers. In the time he played left guard, He was the 70th graded left guard in the NFL.
70?
70. I didn't even know that many left guards have played this season, Evan. He was the last. He is now playing left tackle for the Chargers. In games where Joe Alt has not played, Justin Herbert is averaging 9.2 fantasy points per game and is getting pressured on average 1.8 seconds time to throw, which is the highest we've seen in the NFL in the last 7 years.
Yeah, I think the Jags had like a 50% pressure rate in that game the other day.
It's not. This is not about Justin Herbert at all. It is that they cannot protect this guy even remotely with that offensive line they're rolling out there. So if you can't trade him away, I'm not going to advise you to drop him because Joe Alt should be back eventually, hopefully. But I am advising you start Jacoby Brissett, Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor's a bridge too far, but I would start Brissett over him.
Jameis Winston.
I don't even know if
Kirk Cousins.
I don't even know if okay. Yeah, my concern for trading him would be even if people aren't as privy to the Joe Alt of it all, he's coming off a 4.3 point game and they're on their bye week this week. So just two things working against you. What kind of deal would you be looking for if you're trading Herbert away?
Wan'Dale Robinson.
I guess I would take Wan'Dale because he probably will be a top 30 receiver.
He didn't make the list. He almost did. Mark Andrews, sneakily, I think might finish as a top 5 tight end rest of season.
God, I know. That's probably correct. Even though I think I saw rest of season ranks, he's tight end 11 when I had that tab up a minute ago.
Yeah. That would be a trade. And then some shots at running back. Kyle Monangai, Sean Tucker, even though he just had a huge week, so it's a little different. Not David Montgomery, he's too highly ranked, but any like Keaton Mitchell, actually low key.
You would trade him straight up for Keaton.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could probably get Keaton Mitchell plus.
I would hope so.
Hubbard, Woody Marks, those are some players I would trade him for right now.
Okay, I think you're probably a little bit lower than me on Herbert. What else is new? But yeah, I'm not super pumped about his rest of season outlook. Okay, last guy here on the thumbnail. You mentioned him earlier. It is Saquon Barkley, and this is kind of one where I think you have to just kind of stand in the flames a little bit and just close your eyes and make the deal. I said earlier, I know Lane Johnson's out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So realistically, he may not be back for the rest of the regular season, or at least he may not be back until the fantasy championship at best. I get that Saquon's the RB11 right now. He's only scored more than 20 points one time this season. We're not seeing any of those huge runs that he had last year. I'm just here to tell you, none of it is his fault. It's not going to return to what it was last year because just not even possible to repeat what he did last year. I was watching that Lions-Eagles game the other night, and boy, was that a disgusting game. That's another topic, though. There were so many plays, especially late in the game when they were trying to put the game away, where it's like, man, Saquon is getting close to breaking a 50-yard run here, and he just didn't quite get it. And he also got tackled on the half-yard line, and Jalen Hurts got another tush push. It was originally even ruled a touchdown on the field. So I think we were very close to not being able to trade for Saquon Barkley for an affordable price. But because you only had 9.5 points the other night, I think you can go out and get a deal done. I mean, you can just point to, hey, right now, if you just look at guys being hit at or behind the line of scrimmage, it's happening on 27% of his rushes. That's third worst in the NFL. Ashton Jeanty, 28%. Zach Charbonnet is at 33%. Those are the only two guys worse. So, like, you can point to those things, and that's why I think you can get them at a discount. I just think this is one of those deals. You want to win your league, go trade for Saquon Barkley at a low-end RB1 value, and just see against Buffalo, who I said everybody who chooses to can run on Buffalo. That's who they play this week. They get the Cowboys. They get Washington. They get Chicago. They get the Chargers. They get the Raiders. They have a lot of defenses that you can put up huge numbers on. You might be able to go get the RB3 or 4 for the rest of the season at an RB11 price tag, which is, I think, what he is right now. And I get it doesn't feel great. You're not buying him at his pre-draft price, but I'm still going out and doing it because these are the kinds of trades. Could it blow up in your face? Yeah, it could. He could still just keep doing what he's doing. And it's not going to kill you, but you're going to feel a little disappointed. But I just think there are explosive days in there for this player in these matchups, kind of like with Justin Jefferson. It's a lot of the same logic here, really. I look at Saquon; he still looks every bit as good to me. It's just he has no room to run a lot more often this year, but they have slowly gotten a little bit better throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jalen Hurts can't keep getting away with the tush push. It will be solved. It will be fixed. It will be ended. The Eagles offense, it's weird to say this about a team that's won the last 2 games, has at times felt really anemic. And
oh yeah, but it's very true.
yes, and Saquon Barkley has been the really only player that consistently is producing on that offense. Looking at you, AJ Brown.
Yeah. Squeaky wheel game, 49 yards. Woo, buddy.
Yeah, and like 12 targets. Just really inefficient player. He might be donezo.
Just don't look at what the other Brown on the other team had targets, catches, and yards. That was the quarterback's fault, though. I'll stand on that one.
Yeah. Definitely, I would go out there and get Saquon because he hasn't lived up to that overall number 1, number 2 pick hype. And it's still, especially with the Lane Johnson injury, you can kind of play the fiddle on that. And that line's not going to look the same. It is. The Eagles have depth at that line. But I would play the Lane Johnson fiddle to them as well and just get it moving.
It probably won't be quite as good, but it'll still be good enough. And, Saquon does make plays in the pass game too. And so you'll get some of that. And I mean, if you have any questions about is this guy still an elite player, go look at that play against the Packers where I think it was the only touchdown of the game last week when they played in Green Bay, where Saquon made a guy miss and just basically made the play himself on a short pass. The dude is still amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe he'll get a backwards hurdle and we'll all believe again.
All right, Dalton, anything else before we hop out of here?
No, I think that's all I got.
All right, well, that is going to do it then for episode 188. We're way ahead of 111. 188 of the Half Point Per Podcast. Give us a follow, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the Half Point Per Pod. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Half Point Per Podcast. We'll answer your questions if you come with those during the live stream. We always appreciate that. The link to all of those things will be in the show notes. As always, leave us a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast. Thank you all so much again for listening this week, and we will talk to you. Well, I don't know. Next week, Thanksgiving. I don't know what your plans are. No guarantees on a pod next week, but we'll talk to you guys again at some point in the next couple weeks.